And now, I would like to invite our international community representative speaker, Mr. Alfredo from Chile.
Thank you very much. I am here to pay my respects to the most venerable Dr. Walpola Kalyanathissa Maha Thero. I must confess that being here is a very humbling experience. It's a very powerful experience. I want to recognize all the venerable monks and lamas. I'd like to recognize the family that is watching from far distance. I also want to recognize the adopted family here today. Of course, I want to recognize his friends, sanghas, and all the followers, many hundred, if not thousand followers around the world. I came just a couple of days ago from Chile to be here. I really wanted to be here. This is for me something very, very important. My friend, my brother, my spiritual brother. This is a unique moment. It's a transcendental moment. It's a moment of reflection. He will tell me, if he were here, to reflect on life, to reflect on death, to reflect on transient life. This is also, to me, a moment of meditation, deep meditation. This is going far beyond my eyes. This is going far from materiality. I am not going to tell you, my brother, goodbye, because I'm sure we will meet again very soon or in any lifetime. He was highly, highly educated. He was truly a scholar. I admire his thesis on Adidharma, a part of Buddhism that is very important for my spiritual life. He devoted his life to something that sounds sometimes very simple, but is very fundamental, which is the spread the teachings of the Buddha. This is not easy. This is not simple. This is transcendental. Also, he was always concerned about the peace and harmony of most people. If he were here, he would say, Alfredo, this is not a moment for sadness. This is not a moment for suffering. He will say to me, this is a moment for mutuality among us, interconnected among us with his consciousness now, with his transient mind as he goes to some beautiful Buddha's garden. He will also say it's the moment for mutuality and interconnectedness among ourselves. I am here, I know very few people, but I am fully connected through him to your reality, to your feelings. He told me one time that I should really have a very conscious moment of reflection on the law of impermanence. I know we are mostly Buddhists here and everyone said, yes, we know. But to me, it's so important because one day we are here and the next day we are not. He will send me quickly to go to the Paranirvana Sutra and make me read all conditioned things are impermanent, but when seized from the point of view of wisdom, one turns away from suffering. This is something we need to go with in the future. We are not here to be sad. We are here to accompany him into this new traveling to the Buddha's garden. This was the last sentence. This was the last teaching. This was the last word of Lord Buddha. Dhammapada also said, death is certain, but life is uncertain. How beautiful, how powerful to reflect on that at this moment. I had a deep friendship with him for more than 2 decades. I was introduced to him by my beloved teacher, Lama Ganchen Rinpoche. And we really, the introduction to him was something not very usual. It was very unique, but at the time I didn't know what would happen to both of us. But Lama knew, and we went to Sri Lanka several times. He showed us many things. We even spent many times in ceremonies to enliven, ruins, old temples, and we went around with him. And I remember as if it were today, the day we went with him and Lama Ganchen and a big group to Kandy, Paradinia. He was so happy. He was always laughing. He was always taking life light. And that was very important for me because I was involved in very heavy material things at the time. So to have that personality around, it was excellent. But also, we had many moments of silence and meditation with Venerable Walpola. But I cannot stop now without saying how important it was, the trips, the ceremonies, the process of self-realization, that he was involved intensively in bringing the relics of the Buddha to many countries of the world. The relics of the Buddha are now at the door of the General Assembly of the United Nations. We went together there with Lama and Venerable Walpola and many, many monks from many communities to put these relics inside the United Nations. How important, how vital, and how interesting vision there was there about the role of Buddhism. I would like to say that apart from the Sixth Buddhist Council in the history of Buddhism, in my opinion, very humble opinion, to have brought the relics of the Buddha around the world, touching so many people and leaving these relics at the United Nations is to me the most important activity of this century for Buddhism. I was witness of how he touched people, how he made people happy. Actually, he was in Chile, in my country, with the relics of the Buddha, and people will go around him, and they were looking for something. They didn't know him, but his presence was such an important presence, such an aura of happiness, that people will, go around him everywhere, and he was laughing with everyone. He was opening his arm to everyone. During 1922 and 1923, we had lots of conversations over the phone. He wanted me to go and visit him in Sri Lanka, and actually he wanted me to live in Sri Lanka. He called me and said, please go and come to Sri Lanka. And for many other reasons, including COVID and other things, we never could meet again. He also was very interested in what I was doing in public policy. How, one should bring the social teachings of the Buddha into politics, economics, governance, and institution. We had a lot of conversation about this, and we had something in common. He had a very interesting concern for the future of Buddhism and how Buddhism should make sense to everyone, everywhere, not only a small group, but the world at large. I would say that something that really touched me, he said, Alfredo, there is a sutra for everyone. You need to find your sutra. That sutra that shifts the wheel of Dharma. And this was so powerful that for the last few years I've been spending a lot of time on the original sutras and the Tripitaka. And I would say, to end, he knew that I was an environmental economist. So he said, there is something you should learn and apply all the time, which is the love and kindness not only to human beings, but also to sentient beings and nature. Of course, that led me to study a lot the teachings of the Buddha on the importance of sentient beings and nature. I would like to tell you, my spiritual brother, that you will always be with us. This emptiness, this vacuum, that we feel right now, it's our obligation to feel it. And I will propose that we fill this gap of his absence with his legacy, the legacy that each and every one of us have, to have a huge dharma around that legacy. This legacy will live forever. Thank you very much.